So Niko recently gave an interview to HLTV where he touched on a lot of controversial and important topics about G2 and their lineup and playstyle. So let's get right into it. The first major talking point that he gets into is the dynamic between him and Alexi B. There were some rumors about Niko being the IGL, I guess based on his performance and Alexi's, but Niko confirms that Alexi is fully the IGL and he puts a lot of effort into his role on the team.
Yeah, I think they've been looking a good bit better actually compared to the major. But at the same time, they're never firing on all cylinders, and I think that is obviously what they want to achieve. Jax is definitely a silver lining in terms of like consistently being pretty good. Hunter's also typically pretty good, and then Monesi does bring in the element I think that they wanted him to with good clutch performances as well as fast flicks and really being a good awper in terms of being able to find picks for them as well. He has a good amount of opening round kills, and Alexi's fragging, as you were saying, has stepped up a bit this event. Actually, a very good amount. Just Niko is the big talking point that everyone is stressing. He needs to get back on form.
Yeah, I definitely agree about Monesi and Alexi's performances. I also agree with Niko, and we'll get into that later in the article. He speaks more about himself specifically. But a couple things I liked in this little blurb from him would be we still have been figuring out how to use everyone on T side, and I definitely think that's true. I think their CT side looks way better than their T side.
Yeah, but their T sides look really, really bad. Like it's almost not even comparable. I don't know what the exact round amount of win or loss is, but just looking at it, it is very, very bad.
The quote that sums up this article that he gives in this blurb is it's just taking much more time than we had expected to adjust everything. And I think that's pretty much summarizes everything there is to say about G2. Um it's pretty clear that, they're not as synchronized as these other teams like Navi or FaZe are.
Yeah, I think the one interesting angle you can look at it at though is you have to think for all the riflers in the team, how much is the fact that Yakindar is about to be a free agent? How much does that play into the fact like the stress on their performance? Because someone like Jax, although that is a direct role, Yakindar bringing Yakindar in for Jax, but he's been performing. Whereas Niko has been very inconsistent. Obviously, I don't think they're going to get rid of Niko, but you do have to think about that. People on the team, they might not think their positions are as solidified. I mean, they benched Kenny S a couple years ago when he was not on top of the world, but he was still a very good opper, and they paid him a lot. So there definitely is a lot of external factors that are causing them
Yeah,
to
I
not perform.
I definitely agree with you. I was definitely on the Yakindar for Jax train before, but at this particular tournament, Jax is looking really good. So it's kind of hard to tell if it's just a hot streak, but I kind of feel like they should stick with Jax, in my opinion, because it seems like we finally are starting to get to the point where that team synchrony is gonna, the team synchronization is gonna improve.
Yeah,
And
it also seems like from what they've said that he's really taken Mondesi under his wing, as well as the fact that everyone talks about the intangibles that he brings to a team in terms of cohesion, and now he's performing. So there's no reason for them to get rid of him for an upgrade when there's already that much firepower on the team as is. You just need to figure out how to unlock it. I think for G2 here, considering their side of the bracket, they really have to be aiming for a grand final. Otherwise, I think they really need to think about not changes, but maybe swapping roles and thinking, or not even heavy rules, but changing how they play and their style of play. Although I think like a close semifinal against Ents is whatever. It's also a good result. But knowing that they're playing Furia in the first round and FaZe are on the other side of the bracket, they definitely need to be thinking grand final or nothing.
yeah, I agree with them trying to figure out roles and stuff a little more because something that Niko talks about in this article is this newest rendition of G2 has led to him entering much more than he used to, and it's affecting his individual performance because people are noticing he's not jiggling or clearing angles the way he used to, and it's definitely not as organized as he used to be, and it's causing an impact on his performance.
Yeah, I think Nico is one of those players that with the level he plays at, he needs to have be maximum confidence. Being a rifler that is one of the top players in the world, one of the few riflers that does not even opt at all to be a top three player in the world somewhat consistently. It takes a lot of confidence to be able to do that and being comfortable in your position. And
Yeah,
it definitely seems like he is not
and
comfortable right
and
now.
Niko talks about this directly in the article. He stated, "I just need to find my way, how to get back on the confidence and the level that I was toward the end of last year." And I think that's very true. It's probably just a little mental block he's going through, but once he starts moving and playing as confident as he used to, this team will really just revitalize as a whole, just off of that momentum and skill.
I think it's a testament to how down bad he is mentally too. If he's being this candid in an interview, he gets into a lot of really specific stuff here. But I think overall, seeing how he's playing in this event, he definitely has a lot of stuff going on mentally that is affecting his game. To be at such a dip now, and knowing the high he was at the Stockholm major, I think I do think he'll figure it out, but he really needs to if this team wants to be the best it could be.
Moving on to the next major talking point of this article, Niko talks a lot about Mondesi. He states that Mondesi doesn't watch demos enough because all he wants to do is really just play and focus on improving directly. But Niko basically says that by watching the demos, he'll learn a lot more about his analytical approach because he kind of says while Mondesi's skill is really like limitless, his decision making and his reactions could certainly use a little bit of work in the tier one sense.
Yeah, but I mean, Mondesi is pretty new to the major and high level tournaments, and he's still figuring it out. I don't think. I mean, he's probably right in what he's saying. It's probably a fact, but I don't think they have to worry too much about Mondesi growing and developing. He clearly has a skill.
Yeah, I think Nico is kind of just trying to help grow him as much as possible, which is probably why he said what he said. Because I agree with what you said before. It definitely seems like Nico's taking him under his wing and trying to just accelerate him to that superstar level as soon as possible.